combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we have another Jimmy Rants for you here. We do this every single day, you guys, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, Eastern time. And what we do is we start on Instagram Live, and I interact with all my peoples on Instagram Live. So definitely go follow me at Instagram at Living Low Carb Man, and you can follow me there. You can watch the video for up to 24 hours after that. And then we put them on YouTube, the Jimmy Rants episodes, which are now at almost 50 episodes. We're building it up really, really fast. And then we also have a brand new Jimmy Rants podcast. It just got posted to Apple Podcasts yesterday. So go look up Jimmy Rants on Apple Podcasts. It's also getting assimilated into the Google Podcasts and Stitcher and all your favorite places for podcasts. So definitely go check it out. We have it all housed under one roof at JimmyRants.com. So what I normally do on here is I come on and I have a Jimmy Rants topic all ready to go. And I rant on for about 10-ish minutes all about that topic. Well, today I thought, you know what? You guys have a lot of things on your mind that maybe you want to hear a little mini rant about. So I want you to give me a topic, preferably in the world of nutritional health. Please no politics or anything like that, but a topic in the world of nutritional health that you would like to hear a little mini rant on. And if it's an interesting enough topic, maybe we'll do a full rant in a future episode. But this episode is all about you. So if you're watching this live, you guys, I need some topics to do a mini rant on. So once you get a topic in your head and you're like, oh, Jimmy, I want to hear you rant about, write that topic down there. And again, this is for my Instagram livers. So if you're watching this on the replay, definitely go follow me at Living Low Carb Man on Instagram. And then you too can interact with me just like all of these wonderful people down here are doing. So I am waiting for that first really good topic, you guys. And once we get that, I will go in full-on rant mode. So this is your opportunity to try to challenge me to come up with something to rant about. And I want to see what you guys come up with. Somebody type something right down there. Right down there. Don't make me come after you. Right down there. And then we will rant all about it. And we just debuted, 8 episodes now of the Jimmy Rants podcast. So go listen to the Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcasts. My producer does a really good job of putting like a music bed beneath the audio. And it's basically a lot of the things that we talk about here on this here show. So we have our first rant suggestion. Keto Neogenesis Beth wants to know if I could do a rant on how people go on and on about all the things they can't have when they go keto. Beth, thank you for that. I love, love, love this topic. Because when people go on a ketogenic diet, rather than framing it as oh, wow, look, I can have butter, I can have bacon, I can have meats and cheeses and full fat everything, rather than framing it as to what they do get to have, almost invariably people say, oh my gosh, I could never do keto, I can't live without, and they start listing off all the crappy garbage. Bread, pasta, cakes, cookies, anything sweet. All of the crap that they think they can't live without. And I think that's ludicrous. How many people start on a ketogenic plan because all that crap made them unhealthy? Exactly. And so I would think, unlike a low-fat diet, which kind of forces you to eat fat-free foods, which ain't natural, by the way. That is so gross. If you're having to eat fat-free foods, you're not having a good time. Number one, you're not satiated because the fat is where the satiation is, along with the protein. and the limiting of the carbohydrates prevents that stoking of the hunger, which we've talked about on previous Jimmy rants. But yes, people do go on and on. I could never live without bread, pasta, blah, blah, blah. The good news is, unlike when that was said many years ago, nowadays, because the keto community is so strong and big and lots of companies are out there and lots of recipe books are out there, there's just about a keto version of anything you could possibly want that's available. We put several of them in our book, Real Food Keto. I know there's all kinds of cookbooks that are out there now that have bread recipes and dessert recipes, even pasta. You see shirataki noodles being used. You see spaghetti squash. So there are options available for people who think they, oh my gosh, can't live without. Yeah, I'm kind of sick of that too, Beth. So thank you for bringing that one up. If you're just joining us, we are doing this keto interactive mini rant fest here on Jimmy Rants. You give me a topic to rant about, and I'll do a little mini rant all about it. And Beth just had the first one about how people go on and on about all the things they can't have on keto. And it's just simply reframing it as, wow, look what I get to eat on keto that I could never eat before on any other diet. Lila Grand, I don't think this is a Jimmy Rants topic. She said, what do you think about the mucusless diet? I was amazed it beat all the keto books. I don't have any idea what you're talking about, darling, so thanks for that, but I have nothing to rant about because I don't know what that's about. All right, I need some more topics, you guys. Beth has another one before we get to Carrie's. Beth wants to know, also rant about how people tend to replace garbage with the keto foods, and it's a gateway. So I think what I hear you saying is they go from like Little Debbie snack cakes to the keto version of Little Debbie snack cakes and never really making that shift over to real food. And as a transitionary, I think it's good to go off of the old crappy garbage version and onto a lower sugar, lower carb, keto friendly version. But the goal ultimately is to try to come off of all that. So my favorite food that I used to eat was macaroni and cheese. Before I went keto, I was a mac and cheese kid. When I was growing up, my dad owned some restaurants, and I always loved Wednesdays because Wednesday was when he put macaroni and cheese on the buffet. He owned this restaurant called the Buffet House, and so on Wednesdays they put macaroni and cheese. So I'd get home from school and I'd go right to the restaurant and I would just load up my plate with macaroni and cheese. Well, there's no such thing as macaroni and cheese in keto, but there is kind of this where you could take cauliflower and make a version-ish of macaroni and cheese. But even now, I have no desire for that anymore because your taste buds change. And I think once we get people in and they start feeling better and getting results from their keto, then some of those old foods that you thought you could never live without, they suddenly kind of go by the wayside. I used to eat Little Debbie snack cakes. I haven't touched anything like that in years and have no desire to. I'm sure if I put like a fudge round or one of those Little Debbies in my mouth now, it would be so overwhelmingly sweet and taste plasticky and artificial that I probably wouldn't even enjoy it even if I did stick it in my mouth, but I wouldn't do that. Carrie Lister has a Rant Fest topic for me. Can you tell me about the protein topic? I read you were successful on Atkins years ago. I'm so confused now about protein and worry I'm not feeding my body enough. Now people say 50 to 60 grams max. So, Carrie, thank you for this. I actually did a whole Jimmy Rants episode all about protein. So definitely go to jimmyrants.com and you can see the video on YouTube where I did address this protein issue. But in short, anyone who says that you need to load up on gobs and gobs and gobs of protein, they're wrong. Anyone who says you must limit your protein to 50 to 60 grams daily max, they're wrong. You want to know why? because they don't know who you are. They don't know your metabolism. They don't know your activity level. They don't know what your goal is. And so if they don't know what your goal is, they really can't be giving you any advice. I'm all for people finding what works for them and finding the level of protein and fat and carbohydrates, for that matter, that work for them. And so if you feel better eating more protein and you're getting all the health markers that you want and you're trying to pursue nutritional ketosis and you can do that eating more protein, then by golly, that's what you need to do. If you don't feel well doing more protein and you need to back off on the protein and moderate it down because you're concerned about how it's impacting your body because you can see it on blood tests, then back off on the protein. There is no perfect ratio. There is no perfect equation that figures out what your protein level should be. You need to just tinker and test with it. Does that mean you just need to just throw your hands up in the air? Well, nobody knows, nobody has an equation for me, so thus I won't care about it. No, care about it. Make sure you're getting enough protein in your diet, because it's not a no protein diet. You would die. It's not a low protein diet. The only people I know pushing low protein are the vegans. They don't think you should have more than maybe 10% of your diet as protein. John McDougall told me that himself, the famous starch diet guy. So I think if you aim for getting about 20% of however much you eat in a day as protein, that's probably a pretty decent goal to shoot for. And then keep carbs minimum and fat to satiety, and that's going to help you find your protein level. So don't get caught up in, well, this group says you must eat lots and lots and lots of protein for keto to work, or you must eat only 50 to 60 grams of protein or keto won't work. Stop listening to them. You know what's best for you, and you got to tinker and test and find out how much protein is right. All right, thank you guys. And if you're just joining us, we are doing something I've never done on these Jimmy Rants before. We're doing an interactive mini rant fest. You give me a topic and I will do a mini rant on it. The next one is from Natasha707. How much fat for premenopausal women? I love fat, but do not want to overdo it. So that's a very specific question. How much fat for a premenopausal woman? I think in general, fat is always to satiety. Always. And so there isn't an amount of fat that I think we need to be aiming for. And this is something that a lot of times online you hear people say, well, Jimmy Moore just says eat sticks of butter and unlimited fat. No, I do not. I've never once said that. What I have said is when you limit your carbohydrates and you moderate down on your protein, you need to eat the rest of your calories as fat, but that's not a fat gorge fest. So whether you're a premenopausal woman, whether you're a man that's trying to optimize your hormone levels, whoever you are, eat fat to satiety, and your body will tell you when you've had enough. And so sometimes we try to complicate this with macronutrient ratios, which I've ranted all about previously. We sometimes like to say, well, I need a limit on the amount of fat, and should I back off on the fat? I don't think your body can eat too much fat if you're listening to your satiety signals. So how much fat for a premenopausal woman? As much as it takes to be satiated with the foods that you're eating. Hope that helps. So yes, Lilla Grand has a question for me to rant about. I'm loving this, you guys. I love the little mini rants. Is fiber an essential carbohydrate? I love it. Well, number one, Lilla Grand, let me say this. There is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. Okay? I don't think that's controversial within the nutritional health community, and especially in the keto community. We have essential fatty acids. We have essential amino acids, which are the proteins. We do not have anything called an essential carbohydrate acid. It does not exist, fiber or otherwise. But to the essence of what you're asking here, is fiber beneficial to your health? I think that's a better question to ask. And I would say, for the purposes of feeding the gut microbiome, I think it's pretty good. Now, obviously, when you say fiber, you get everything from healthy whole grains that they say, all the way to green leafy vegetables. If you feed your body a modicum, just a modicum, maybe a cup or two of green leafy vegetables, then you should be able to feed your gut microbiome very well. I talked to Dr. Terry Walls all about this for my book, Keto Clarity, and she said, oh yeah, you don't need all of these safe starches and resistant starches and all that to feed your gut microbiome. Just eat some green leafy vegetables and you feed the gut flora just fine. So is fiber essential as a carbohydrate? No. Is it critical in the role of making you as optimally healthy as you could possibly be if you do it with green leafy vegetables? Yeah, I think so. So I hope that helps you out. Alrighty. Hashtag is my name is the next one, and they're following up on the protein one we had earlier. What about protein for adults compared to children? Well, I think children in the development stage need proper nutrition overall. And so, unfortunately, a lot of children are over-carbohydrated, for lack of a better term, and they need to have essential fatty acids, essential amino acids. So giving them a good mix of both is probably a good idea. I don't think they need sugar and grains and starches like are being fed to kids in gobs today. I think if we fed them well early on, then later in life, they won't have to deal with insulin resistance like so many of us have from eating the crap. They actually will be very insulin sensitive, and they'll be the ones that could still be keto by eating sweet potatoes. And that's kind of what you want to have happen. So yes, slightly different. All right, so thank you guys for being here. We are doing this interactive mini rant fest, all with your topics. So thanks for being here. And if you're watching this on YouTube on the replay, definitely head on over to Instagram, follow me at Living Low Carb Man, and you too can interact with me live. Just like Nini's Keto Kitchen has the next topic, how to know what is false information. I see a lot of conflicting info. I'm trying to be as basic as I can, not to confuse things, and if in doubt, stay away or do a fast if I have mistakenly eaten. So yes, how do you judge what is good information from what is bad information? And can I tell you a little secret? There's a lot of bad information being put out there. I mean, a ton. And you guys know I've been at this since 2004 when I went on the Atkins diet. I've been blogging and podcasting since 2005 and 6 is when I started those. So I've been observing this community a very long time. And what's really fascinating about the rise in popularity of keto is everybody and their mama now is pretending to be a keto expert. And some of these people I'd never heard of 2 years ago. And they just pop up out of nowhere. So if they just popped up out of nowhere, sorry, I mean, you might be good, you might have information that's useful, you might be trying to help people, and you might be doing it for all the right reasons. But if you just popped up and now you're suddenly this keto expert and you're trying to sell me every supplement under the sun and you're trying to sell me this product and that product, I'm sorry, I got no time for you. I got no time for you. You might be a New York Times bestselling author of a keto book, but if I ain't never heard of you before the last 2 years, where the heck you been, right? And so those are the people I'd be very wary of any information coming out of them. Because while it may sound good on the surface because it's keto, that doesn't mean it's necessarily something that's good for you to be consuming. So what do you do instead? I think you find people that have been around a while. I think you find the people who've been talking about this before it was cool. And I'm not just talking just about myself. There's a bunch of people that have been out here trumpeting the cause of low-carb diets and ketogenic diets long before the popularity came around. But that's how you vet it out. Plus, does it pass your own BS meter? I mean, sometimes I hear things said about keto and I go, where are they coming from? What are you talking about? It makes no sense at all. So how do you know what's false information? I think you use your common sense. I think you put on your collective wisdom of everything you've heard, and you go, okay, what makes the most sense to me? And if at the end of the day, you come to the conclusion of what makes sense and you're comfortable with that, then you follow those people that are talking about those things. Otherwise, just realize there's gonna be and will always be a lot of noise when it comes to this keto subject, which is why I try to stay very objective about this. Yes, I'm pro keto, but I'm pro the right keto. I want people to get information about keto that's actually going to help them, not, I'll give you one example, not this company that said, drink our product and you'll be in ketosis in 59 minutes or less, and you can eat all the carbs you want. That is horrible, horrible, horrible information, and anybody with a BS meter would see that a mile away. And yet those companies exist out there. So just be wary of that and be aware that those people are not in it for the right reasons, and those people are merely just trying to make a buck off of you and perhaps some ignorance of what keto is. So my litmus test is find those people you trust and stick with them. Thanks for that rant. That was fun. All right. So thank you, Everyday Fufu. Loved the new book. We loved writing it. Thank you. I have a keto coach friend who I stopped listening to when she said you probably should not do keto if you're diabetic. What? Beth, who the heck was that? Diabetics are the ones that need to do keto more than anybody else. So that makes no sense at all. All right. One more here. It looks like Lilla Grand wants to know, are there any killer arguments to get people who are terrified of fat to reconsider? I would go back at people that say fat's going to kill them and they're scared to eat it as, did you know, or first ask this question. How much fat should you eat in a day? Ask them that question. How much fat should you eat in a day? If they come back and say 0, say, wow, so did you know that fat is considered an essential element in your diet? In other words, if you don't eat fat because your body can't make the fat, if you don't eat fat, you'll die. Let's just put it that way. If you don't eat fat, you'll die. Did you know that? And you'll get their attention. So yeah, so then there's quality of fats as well. So what kind of fats are you currently eating? Oh, well, I'm having margarine, and I'm having vegetable oils, and I'm having this and that kind of fake fats. And that's when you come back and say, wow, so all of the fats that you're currently consuming are the exact ones that are making people unhealthy. Did you realize that? Did you realize vegetable oils, which are made of soybeans and cottonseed oil and corn oil and canola oil, all of those fats are some of the most dangerous for your health that they can possibly be? That they are the most inflammatory. They're the ones that are going to provide sickness and lead to sickness rather than being the cure for sickness. So then they go, whoa, well, what should I be eating? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. So there are healthier versions of fats, even saturated fat, and you could show them the front cover of Time magazine from a few years ago, about 3 years ago. There was a front cover, how we got it all wrong about fat. And Time magazine's very well respected, so people would go, oh, wow, I didn't even realize Time magazine talked about that. So go find that cover. And then you say, you know what? The healthy fats are the saturated fats, like real butter. And tell them about grass-fed butter, real coconut oil, lard. All of these things are very healthy for them within the context of a carbohydrate-restricted diet. Then you say, then there's these things called monounsaturated fats. So that's things like olive oil and avocado oil, and you just kind of lay it out for them. And even say, there's even this thing called omega-3 fats that you can get from fish oil, and that's a fat as well, and it's very healthy for your heart. So you start talking about the benefits of it, and you talk about, wow, there's fat-soluble vitamins that are essential for your health. So things like vitamins A, D, E, and K. If you have A, D, E, and K, but you have no fat in your diet, those are all called fat-soluble vitamins. If you don't eat fat, you don't absorb them. So you've got to eat the fat, all of those fats we just talked about, to absorb those healthy fats. So I think you just lay it all out for people. And we've been so vilifying fat for so long that people just don't realize that fat is a good thing because they've never heard it in that context before. Bullock in 2018 says, what is good information for type 1 diabetics? I'm trying to educate a type 1 friend. So there's a great book. This isn't a rant, but you just asked a random question there. There's a great book by Dr. Richard Bernstein, the Bernstein Diabetes Solution, I believe is what it's called. The guy's been a diabetic, type 1 diabetic, for nearly 70 years. And he's able to control it through carbohydrate restriction and eating more fat and reducing his carbohydrates and doing all the things that we talk about in my work. There's a lot of really good type 1 people. There's a Facebook page called Type 1 Grit. Go look them up, Type 1 Grit. And then there is a diabetes expert, Hannah's Diabetes Expert, I believe she is, here on Instagram. But Hannah Boethius is her name. She's one of the co-organizers of the Low Carb Universe Conference, which is going on right now this weekend, by the way, over in Mallorca, Spain. She's a type 1 diabetic who is super duper into keto. If you can't find any of those resources, definitely drop me a message and I will provide links for you. All right, guys, that is it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. Thanks for this fun episode where I said, give me a topic, and I got to do a mini rant about all of the topics that you guys brought up. I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll be back a little bit later on with a fresh new topic to talk about with Jimmy Rants. But JimmyRants.com is the website, and as always, start off on Instagram Live, follow me live, interact with all these beautiful people down here at Living Low Carb Man on Instagram. You can watch it for 24 hours on Instagram after it airs, and then we'll house them on YouTube for you guys under Jimmy Rants and the all-new Jimmy Rants podcast. Go check it out, you guys. It's now available for you to listen on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts, JimmyRants.com for all of those things I just talked about. So until we see you a little later on, we'll see you then.